Bart Graham. I'm the development officer for the Commemorative Air Force Wing based out of Lakeland. It's called CAF Tampa Bay, but we cover the west coast of Florida.
Okay, so I want to ask you, I was looking at some of your stuff before we got on here, and can you tell me something cool about the PT-19?
Well, that was, the plane was built in 1942, and it spent its 4 years in Texas at 3 airfields. The last was the most important one. It was at Avenger Field, which was the home of the Wasp. So we don't know for sure if the plane was used as a training plane to train Wasp pilots or if they used it to fly. We're still researching that.
Okay, that would be exciting if you figure it out.
Well, we'd certainly like to know if a famous Wasp ever flew it.
Yes, that would be so cool.
Yep.
Okay, so do you personally have a favorite plane? Because you guys got a good variety.
My personal favorite, well, okay, I used to work on Peach King Air 200 many moons ago, and so I like the King Air 200, but I've gotten involved with Stearmans. I like Stearmans. Now I've got the favorites to add up. Connie's, the Constellation.
There's just so many to choose from.
Yeah, I know. I changed spark plugs once as a junior mechanic on a Connie. 144 spark plugs.
Wow. Okay, so since we're talking about all the different types of airplanes, what got you interested in airplanes in the first place, and how did you get into aviation?
My dad was a accountant with the Department of Defense. He was assigned to Scott Air Force Base. He would travel around all the airlines back then who hauled military. Every airline that hauled military had to be audited. So he would go out and audit. So I was spending a lot of time around Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. So I would get to see the old airplanes. So that stuff got in your blood.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely being around it, you can definitely catch the aviation bug just like that. So what advice would you give to the younger generation coming up if they want to get involved and they just don't know how?
We were just talking about the associations. There's a lot of associations that you can join. You don't have to join CAF. We would love you to join CAF. They got a cadet program, a scholarship program, but you got the EAA. You just got a lot of things. Women aviation, if you're a woman. It's just, there's a lot of things you just got to join, and then don't sit like a bum. Get involved. That's all I got to say.
Just dive in head first.
Just dive in, yeah.
Could you tell me what makes CAF so special?
Well, I'll tell you, I've always liked the old airplanes, obviously, because I work on a Connie. I was picking out like a Connie. And I flew on the first airplane I flew on was a DC-3 in a snowstorm. We won't go into details, but let's say the air sickness bags were freely handed out, okay? And and then the next plane I flew on was a Connie. And so those get in your blood. So I've gotten involved. I'm an Embry-Riddle alumni, so I did go to Embry-Riddle, got an A&P, got a degree in aeronautics. I haven't practiced that in a while. I'm a alumni network leader for Embry-Riddle. But so I've kept my hand in the game. But a few years ago, I became friendly with a lady that was PR manager for a nonprofit called Green Flights, and they got 6 Stearmans. They fly around the country, guides to the World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam vets. So I helped them. I got involved with them as a ground crew chief. So now I'm hooked on Stearmans, and through Green Flights, I was invited to a CAF meeting. And it was like, I went in, like being a kid in a candy store. I went to the textile one, the CAF, and because a lot of the Green Flight volunteers were members of that thing. And I said, well, this is pretty cool. They had a T6. They had it tore apart for an annual inspection. I said, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll join the CAF. So
It sounds like you're really immersed into aviation, which I love. What's one thing that stuck with you personally, just from being in aviation for so long?
Wow. Oh man, that's a good question. That's one of those trick questions you're going to ask me here, right? Oh, wow. I think all the friends I've made being around just cool airplanes, like my dream flight, well, friends in CAF, let's take my dream flight friends, there's probably 60 volunteers. I mean, half of them are pilots, and they're just cool. I've got a mission in a couple of weeks. We're going to finish up a mission. I'm from Florida. Well, obviously Tampa Bay, but we got a mission to finish up. So it's pretty darn awesome to be around people who love airplanes.
Yes, I like that everyone has something in common. People can come from all over the world or all different walks of life, and everyone can bond over that one thing.
Funny story. So I go to the Dream Flights University every year. It's our ground school, first year in Texas. But I get stuck driving the van, taking people to and from the airport, right? That's okay, that's fine. I'm not a commercial, or I'm not a pilot with a pilot's license. But the guys were asking me, Bart, did you ever, are you a pilot? I said, no, I got 25 hours in a Cessna 150. Did you solo? I said, yes, I did. Well, you're a pilot. I had two guys tell me that. It's like in a 2-day period. You're a pilot. You're considered a student pilot. I didn't know that.
For sure. Could you tell us about your first time soloing? What was that like?
Well, I figured you only had two options here. You were going to land. You were going to land safely, or you were going to crash land.
True.
And I managed to land safely, but I did do my solo in South Korea because I was working on a Army Air Force base, and the controllers speak English, but they had a Korean accent. I was so intent on landing this Cessna 150, I cut off like some Korean F-86s. I'm sure they had to do a go-around. I'm sure they weren't too terribly happy with me.
I mean, honestly, that's a good story, and I love that you did it in another country. I think it makes it that much more of a story.
Yeah.
I want to touch on one other thing, too, because you were just telling me how you guys recently got into plane. You want to talk about your newest plane?
Yeah, we just, well, we got our PT-19 last year, and then we heard late last year, we heard Eichsberg came up for assignment. Now, we don't own the airplane. The airplanes are owned by CAF. They've got a foundation, a museum. They own the airplane. So once you hit the parameters to get an airplane, they assign you an airplane. They go with the easiest airplanes, like a PT-19. It's pretty forgiving. I don't fly it. Okay, but, you know, they said, so we go easy on you guys. But Eichsberg came up for assignment. We bid on it, and we won it. So we just got it last week. And pretty cool place. When you guys go to the Warburg Grant, go listen to a starting. It's pretty cool.
That's exciting, though. That's a really cool plane, so I'm glad that worked out for you.
Yeah, Eisenhower did fly in it between 1955 and 1960. He used the plane to get from D.C. to his farm in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That was his, you want to call it the daily driver. Now, his luxury plane was a Connie, called the Caillou. Say that 20 times. And that plane's in the National Air Force Museum. So if you guys ever get up there, you need to check that out.
Yes, for sure. I feel like all these planes have a story too. I mean, any plane, you create your own memories in it, but I love that so much. But I'm glad that you let us in and told us all about these planes, about your experiences. It was really cool to hear, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the segment.
Thank you. Thanks for interviewing me. Appreciate it.